Good morning, CWCC. Happy Monday. I am so excited to have with us today Chris Parisi with Parisi Restaurant, which is one of my all-time favorite Italian restaurants. And I think you're one of a rare few women that own a restaurant. And I think that women are doing an amazing job pivoting and leading during COVID. And I can't even imagine what that looks like for you being in the restaurant industry right now. So that's another reason why I'm so excited to have you here. But I also feel like I'm meeting with a bit of a celebrity because I've been eating there for years and I love it so much. So thank you for being with us today, Chris. Tell our membership a little bit about you, your restaurant, how you came up with the idea.
Hi, everyone. So Parisi's has been around since 1998. Kind of started out with the mindset that ignorance is bliss. And quite honestly, had I known really about the industry, I probably would have been scared away from it. Initially opened as an Italian market and deli, and then very quickly realized there was a big niche to be filled for authentic modern Italian food. And so completely pivoted away from the market and deli and focused mainly on the food sales and the food preparation. We used to be located in the old Cafe Brazil, or in the new Cafe Brazil location. And yeah, it had a very large kitchen. And initially we weren't going to make much use of it. And so all of the pieces kind of fell into place, and we just, we caught the attention of some local food critics, and very quickly we were put on TV. Rachel Ray used to have this show on HGTV or one of the Food Network or one of those.
Yeah.
And it was called $40 a day. And so she also kind of put us on the map, and Best of Westward would always give us the best pizza prize. And so it was kind of an inevitable thing that we fell into the food preparation versus the deli and market aspect. Even though we loved that portion of it. But over time, it just seemed like a lot of grocery stores, as people became more foodie minded, a lot of grocery stores started carrying prosciutto and mozzarella and all of the things that were hard to find and were becoming more commonplace. And obviously we can't compete competitively, you know, with the pricing that these big corporations are offered. So we kept scaling down a little bit, really focusing more on prepared foods. And then eventually in 2013, we decided to all keep but just a tiny portion of the retail and focus mainly on restaurant. So the retail is more of a nod to our beginnings. And it's definitely not the core of our business, but I certainly appreciate getting my favorite cookies from Italy.
That's awesome.
I had lived in Italy before moving to Denver. And so that's where my passion for Italy comes from. And it just seemed like a really misunderstood cuisine and culture. I think the East Coast mafia kind of reputation is what people think Italian is, and it was anything but that. Sure, there's a portion of it, but it was very different. And I really wanted to present that to the community in Denver, because back then we were kind of a cow town, if you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have done that. Tell me, you know, it's interesting that you said in hindsight you might not have done it. What are the things that you've discovered that, you know, make you think I would have never done this had I known this?
Well, you know, I'm not sure if I wouldn't have done it, but it was just that I kind of defied everyone else's, what are you doing?
Yeah. Why are you doing this?
How, you know, and just kind of beating the expected odds, I guess. Having friends in the restaurant industry who looked at this, you know, wide-eyed 20-something-year-old, fresh out of college, having moved back from Italy, wanting to open this thing, and they're saying, oh man, she's not going to make it very long. and then constantly kind of defying what their expectations were. So I think that had I fed into this idea that, wow, what background experience do you have? What do you really know about this industry? Because I can't say I knew any of that.
Well, maybe
and
that
I certainly
helped
didn't have
you.
experience.
Because don't you think, like, I think that, you know, I don't know if you define yourself as fast casual because you're nicer than that, but your concept was way before its time, right?
Absolutely. Well, the most important thing is that I never wanted to be in the fine dining sector, because I like the idea of something like when I lived in Italy, there were these older bachelors, right, that lived with mom until the day she died, and then they would go to their favorite neighborhood restaurant once or twice a week, and they would just have an account with them because they knew they could rely on a good home cooked meal that wasn't exactly at home. And that kind of approach really stuck with me. So I really wanted to carry that into our lives here. And it means even more to me now that I have kids, because I like being part of a routine. I mean, I do like being part of special occasions too, for sure. But to be a part of a neighborhood, to be part of a community, you have to be approachable, you have to be affordable. It has to be something that it's not going to cost you much more than going out and buying the ingredients and making it for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, my favorite is, I don't know how you say it in Italian, but it's the salmon salad.
Okay.
So good.
Insalata di salmone.
Yes, of course. It's beautiful. And my son loves the lasagna. So
fantastic.
Well, thank you for sharing. And you recently, like, you're the head honcho now, right? You had a partner, but then you just bought the partner out in December, right?
Yes.
And that was pre-COVID. And now you're like pivoting. Tell us about that. What, I mean, I would have been panicking, like, what? Timing of it all.
The timing was very ironic, but at the same time, getting to navigate the ship on your own versus having to do it with a partner. I mean, yes, sometimes partners add to the equation, but I think having someone who's no longer in the same state makes it really hard to include them in the conversation, because they're not going to really see the effects of their decisions or what they want to affect.
Right.
So I'm really thankful that I've had the ability to make decisions on my own, of course, with the help of a really awesome team that I have. And, you know, definitely there was that first month in March where, like, you're kidding me, because I've always been a very conservative business planner, and I don't take big risks. So when I put myself out on the line, let's say to get a bank loan so that I can do the partnership buyout, that initially was my panic. But I realized that as long as we can sustain enough, I created a loan plan that is conservative enough that even if we just pay the basic payments per month, we'll be fine.
Right. So, well, I have to say, like, I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness because, you know, first of all, less than 1% of women-owned businesses ever get over $1 million in revenue in Colorado. And part of the reason for that is that we don't borrow. We don't like to take risks. We don't take funding. We don't search buying out our partner. And you just did it. So I think it's important for women to hear these stories that you can do it. It's going to be okay. And sometimes when we don't do it, we don't get to grow, or we don't get to see the vision that we have. And so I just, you know, kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I'm blushing.
Okay, well, so let's talk a little bit about COVID. Like, how are you doing?
Well, initially we were down to about 20% of our normal sales and employee. So initially we had to lay off a bunch of people, but you know, those were the months where I was spending a lot of time at night here very late because during the day I was managing my kids' homeschool.
Oh my gosh.
I was
How old are they?
9 and 12 now.
Oh, so yeah, you have to be teacher.
Yes. Well, ish.
Yeah.
You know, it's just we were all so ill-equipped for this. So, the schools that they go to is the school that they go to is so wonderful, and they did their very best, but you know, we were all like deer in headlights. So there was, you know, I just needed to kind of be in the background to help if needed, even if it was just as the one who is the lunch lady or providing snacks or whatever.
Right.
So that by the time the school day isn't done, I don't come home and they say, oh yeah, I forgot to eat in there.
Yeah, because that's happening, right? Like my son goes all day. I was like, where's your lunch break? He goes, oh, I don't know. We didn't get one today.
Oh,
you know, and he's doing online, so it's crazy.
Yes.
So,
and then we get to deal with the hangry grumpy.
The hangry. Oh, I know.
Aside from that, though, I was in here an awful lot, just trying to stay abreast of all of the guidelines and all the changes that were happening and all of the requirements, and making sure that I understood the best procedures moving forward. I do feel like we had a little bit of an edge on the rest of the public because I'm so connected to Italy, and because that's where the explosion was happening. I have enough friends over there that I was getting kind of information as to how restaurants were dealing and how just the general community was dealing way before we were dealing with it.
Wow.
And even though, you know, we're talking maybe a month before, but
still it gives you more time to prepare, because many of us didn't expect it. I didn't.
No, I mean, if based on the conversations I was having with my friends in Europe, I was very concerned that this caution that we were practicing at the time of, you know, taking it serious, but not too serious. It was better to err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
and so the first thing I thought about was that we would definitely do curbside parking, even before the city of Denver and all of the different forces came together to help us kind of situate that. But I would have to say my biggest allies in that whole process, Colorado Restaurant Association, amazing. And then believe it or not, the city of Denver and the state of Colorado.
Yeah, they've really done a fantastic job, haven't they?
Yes. So for licensing and permits, for us to be able to have a tent outside, which is one of the ways that I've managed this, is we put this big festival tent out in the parking lot. And even though it creates kind of an awkward back in, back out situation, everything is so awkward right now that we figured it's the last of everyone's worries. They have a little bit of a Tetris trying to get out of the lot. So it was most important to maintain curbside pickup. But when we reopened a couple weeks after we were allowed to, because I needed the time to gauge what the general public response was going to be. And I was scared for staff and the mask, no mask rebels and all of that kind of stuff. I just didn't want my staff to have to deal with that extra bit of frustration and anger that the general public has. Right. Luckily, our customer base, 90%, 99%, I will say, is like so amazing. Yeah. I can't even begin to tell you how. I mean, I have here on my desk, I have a card, and then I have and I've got quite a few notes, emails and stuff too, but this is a check from a customer very early on. This is from March 23rd. And she said, Parisi, just a little help during this difficult time. No gift certificate. Yours is a favorite restaurant, and I'll return when I can. Love your place. God,
that makes me want to cry.
I know. I'm holding it back.
So awesome. People are amazing. We need to hear those stories right now, Chris, because I keep feeling like, if you're on social media or whatever, there's a lot of hate stories. And I want to hear the ones where people are reaching out and they care. And,
Oh my God. Who knew an Italian neighborhood restaurant would be like a beacon of hope and for people? We've received so many like awesome gestures of gratitude, and I can't even begin. I get just people take time to write us an email of support, or they'll, they tip. We had some people that were tipping like 100% of, just because everyone wanted to support the servers as much as they could. So when we were doing just takeout only, we were at about 20% of sales, which hurt.
Right.
The bare minimum, because we cut all of our other expenses, was the bare minimum to just keep squeaking by. So I did not take advantage early on of any of the government assistance because it didn't feel right, to take that money when there were people that were applying who had to completely shut down their businesses. So it wasn't until later on that I had a good heart-to-heart with some good financial advisors who said, this was set up for businesses like yours. So I took it as kind of a backup plan.
I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad.
So we'll see how it goes in the fall.
Well, I'm so glad that you're doing well now.
Yes, we're back to about 80% of normal sales.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I want you to be at 100, but still, that's like amazing.
I know. We feel blessed. We really do. My staff is worn to the bone because we added an extra day. So you've got to kind of put that 80% in perspective. Of that. But still, initially I wanted to create something that would create enough hours to make it worth people's time to work here as well. Because all of the people that were laid off, we brought back that second week of June, or offered to bring them back, and didn't want to give them slim pickings on their hours and their income. So we added the extra day to really give a boost to hours and the earning potential.
Great.
It wasn't greed, because I know that that's the first thing people can think. They're like, oh, they're getting greedy. And
you know what though? Like, I hate that. You have to do what you need to do to create a successful business. Like no greed taken. And even if you wanted to use it to make money, that's not greed. You're trying to keep your business prosperous.
Yes, but I'm also they're just working so much now that they're like, oh my God. Almost...
What about winter? Are you worried?
So I'm really hopeful that there's going to be some great progress on the COVID front. So putting a lot of hope with that. Like I said, I got the PPP funding, but I'm really not digging into it for necessary expenses. I'm kind of keeping that as a backdrop for if anything happens, like if we had a confirmed case, I'm thinking of what is going to be my protocol. Probably if it's among staff and it's a staff member that we know has contact with other people, if it's someone from our line, we would probably just close down for a 2-week period of time. And so I like knowing that I have the funding set aside for that. So there are a lot of weird things to think about. My kids' school has actually set up some pretty cool protocols that kind of helped me think about how to manage everything. And the city of Denver just put out a draft proposal of the different stages of reopening, and what will then determine whether or not they have to backpedal and go to a previous step. So instead of the it's stay at home and then it's safer at home, but there's 3 phases potentially of the safer at home. And then there's the more clear, but still kind of watchful zone. And so, we'll be adhering to that as best as we can. Obviously we're kind of enforced to do so, but I don't think the tent will last into the colder months. I'm not sure we want to take on the expense of doing the heaters, but prior to getting the tent, I said I wouldn't do a tent. So you never know.
You never know. I know. I said I'd never do digital programming, and look at me here. Like, and now I love it. So, okay. We could talk for hours, but let me get to our question, because what we find is our members learn a lot when we ask other members this question. So tell me about a time in your life or career or both when you've persevered.
Well, I think we're in the midst, potentially, if all goes okay and there's success at the end of this, then this is a fine example. But, I've been around long enough that I've been through 9/11. I remember being at work when the planes hit the towers, and the recession, 2008-9 time. I mean, we've had enough unexpected setbacks that to get through those and be okay on the other side of it, and also try to creatively keep serving the community even during those hard times, is probably the key to learning how to persevere and to not give up. Even though it feels really hard on this one, because 9/11 had a lasting effect, but it was a one-day event. And then we were all able to work on healing. COVID is a whole different animal, and I worry about the long-term psyche and if dining out will ever, even if there's a perfect vaccine or a perfect cure for COVID, I worry that the psyche is so irreparably damaged, let's say, that how long will it take for people to feel comfortable again with the way things used to be? So.
Yeah, I know. I fear that too, because we thrive on advocating at big events, right? So, and there's really no replacement for that energy, not even digitally, right? We can try and recreate it, but it's just like you can't get a restaurant dining experience at home. It's just not going to happen. So I'm hoping after all of this, people are going to be chomping at the bit to get together and have what we once had. So let's hope for that. Okay, last question. What is a motto that you live by?
A motto, well,
I was hoping you'd say something in Italian.
well, it's kind of, I think that taking a chance, I don't know, trusting your instincts, trusting my instincts and not always the experts, really got me to where I am today. It doesn't mean I don't always absorb expert advice,
right?
But learning to trust myself and have faith in my own ideas, and then pursuing advice after that, as to how to move forward with my ideas is probably the biggest thing.
Awesome. I love that, because women don't do that. We don't trust our gut. We just did a panel conversation, and it was actually with a group of men that are allies for helping women get promoted or grow their business. And they were talking about the confidence thing, right? Like, men don't even second guess. They're like, we're doing this. Women, we don't trust our gut or stand in our power all the time. And so that's such great advice. And it's a wonderful motto. Chris, thank you so much.
Can I tell you just a very quick story?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I love this. And it's relevant to that. So when I first opened, about at the 4-year mark, I knew that I wanted to have a bigger building and potentially a bigger operation so that I could have a management team. Because when you're really small, it's very hard to make enough money to be able to support a management team.
Right.
So therefore you're married to your business and you have no life.
Yes.
So there was this one day that was kind of the pivotal moment. I went to go pick up sausage at Carbone's, which used to be on 38th, down there near Navajo, I think. And Mama Carbone was there, and she was stirring her big pot of sugo. And I go in there in Italian, you know, I speak Italian. So I'm in there and I said, you know, how are you doing? And she's like, oh, Christine. She says it to me in Italian, but I'll do it with an American,
Okay.
but with the Italian accent. She says, Christine, you need to get a manager. Don't be like me. When you're old, you need some time. So I took that to heart. And honestly, the next day I started putting together a business plan. And, you know, I shared it with my family, who were all very corporate business minded people. And they were impressed that this person, myself, could put something like this together based on a gut reaction I had to that event. And quite honestly, that was the catalyst that really made me want to take a very small operation and turn it into something much bigger, maybe not multiple location bigger, but into something that could support a whole team of employees versus having just a few of us running the show.
Well, never say never, because you said you wouldn't get a tent, so you might open a second location.
It's true. You never know.
Oh my gosh, Chris, I love that story. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to actually meet you in person soon.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm there all the time, so
well.
I'm gonna stalk you. I know the owner. Can I say hi?
It's okay. Please do. It pulls me out of my cave. This is where I live. People think that I'm down and I wish I could be in the kitchen. I wish I could be with the customers, but I have to do all this stuff that happens in front of the computer.
Right.
So
well, you're doing a phenomenal job. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.